Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. You're tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here in your ear having the conversations that you need to hear. We are on WRFZ 106.3 FM, and we are coming to you live and crystal clear over the radio waves and on the internet. Hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing to like and share. Every like, every share helps get the message out there and helps kick the algorithm to show it to more people. So definitely take 2 seconds and do that. And you can drop an American flag or just a hey and a hi in the comments. And we'll do our best to pop your comments up on screen if you want to join in and be part of the conversation. Let's start off with the regular stateside news. We just saw that yesterday on a beautiful Sunday, we had a rededication of our nation, the United States of America, to God, right? Because we are one nation under God. And that's something that is very important to remember. But when we talk about God, you got to ask, which God? The country was rededicated to God. Which God? This is a very important conversation to have. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, well, yeah, I pray to God or whatever the case is, da 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 da. I was like, oh, okay. Which God? You know, and these days it's very important that you ask that question. Is it the one true living God, the triune God? God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit? Are you praying to the right God? Do you believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ? These are the questions that we need to be asking people. Because at the rededication, I saw all of these people that were talking about, oh yeah, we're here, whatever the case is, that don't believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ. And he who forsakes the Father, forsakes the Son, forsakes the Father, right? So if you don't believe in the divinity of Jesus, clearly you're not praying to the same God that we are. And that's a serious issue. So when we're out here, we're talking about rededicating our nation, this, that, and the third. And we've got people up on stage that don't believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ, and they don't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. We have a problem. We have a problem. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, you know, everything is everything with everybody that has their own beliefs and all of this and all of that. I could really care less about, that's not true. I could care more about all of their various beliefs because I don't care and I'm not going to. And if you read the Bible, it's very explicit on to why we should not really have much fellowship with people that believe differently with us. It says, do not be equally yoked. It's not just talking about marriage. It's talking about business relationships and other things like that as well. But far too often, we just are like, oh, ho-hum, they say they pray to God. Okay, it's okay. And one of the people that is the worst criminal in relation to that is Vivek Ramaswamy, right? So for the last couple of years, he's been running around talking about God, 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 God. And this guy doesn't even believe in God. You understand what I'm saying? He's a Hindu. He believes in a billion different gods. You know, so how are you going to be in all of these Christians' faces and talk about, oh, well, I believe in God and God this and God that. You're playing in Christians' faces. Stop playing in Christians' faces. Drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. Stop playing in Christians' faces. And this is a serious issue. Because what we have is we have a number of individuals that are out there that are running amok right now that'll say anything that they want to or that they feel that they need to that will allow them to get in with Christians or have Christians look less down upon what they're on about because they try to talk about God. When the next time you talk to somebody and they say something about God, which God? Ask them. And it reminded me of that movie Civil War. I never watched the movie Civil War, you know. But when I saw some of the clips of it, part of it was like, hey, we're American. And the guys were like, well, what type of American are you? And that's how I feel when somebody talks about God. Well, what God? What type of God are you talking about? Which one? We even have that now where we've got these crazy people talking about, oh, well, softy, softy, foofy, foofy, love everybody, love, 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 all of this. And they twist and they contort what God the Father is about and what Jesus Christ is about. And they know nothing of the Holy Spirit. And we're supposed to just go along with it. Like, that's a problem. That's a serious issue. And we've got a whole stage where we're talking about rededicating America to God. What God, bro? Tell me, explain it to me. Because these people worship that God, these people worship this God. It's not the triune God. And if you're not giving reverence to the triune God, then you are a heretic. Like, at best, you're a heretic. At worst, you're a complete non-believer. You know, like, these are serious, serious issues. Somebody says they got 33 million gods. He's talking about the Hindus because I was talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. But they're like, yeah, what God, right? See, and this is why when we speak, we need to stand as Americans and be proud and speak about King, the one and only true King of the world, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. This is why they push all this no kings nonsense, because it's not about no kings. We don't have a king, you know, and they'll say, oh, well, it's Trump. It's not about Trump. That's not what the movement is about. It's anti-Christian. It's anti-God. It's anti-Jesus Christ. And we need to have that serious conversation because that's what's going on right now. That's what's being perpetrated right now. And we can see it by everything that they do. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing, and hit subscribe and follow. Help us get this message out there. It helps the algorithm. Now, as we have this conversation, we got all these people playing in Christians' faces, right? Oh, we have the same God. No, we don't. No, we don't. Muslims don't have the same God. Jews don't have the same God, because most of these people that they call themselves Jews, one, are secular. That's an important thing to note, okay? They identify as ethnically Jewish, but are not necessarily practicing, okay? Two, you've got the other ones that are like rabbinical Judaism and stuff like that. That's not true Judaism. It's not. They're like the Pharisees, if not worse, okay? And if you're not familiar with the Pharisees, you really need to go dig into that. Okay, so these are the serious issues that we have right now. Then you've got the Muslims. Oh, we believe in Jesus. No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop playing in my face. Okay, you do not believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ. And therefore, if you do not believe in the divinity of Jesus Christ, we do not have the same God. Stop playing in my face. Stop it. And this is what people don't want to have those conversations. They're like, oh, they're like, oh, well, you know, we're all Abrahamic religions. Yeah, you're corruptions of the religion. You're corruptions of the religion. And we need to have that serious conversation. They're not any better than the Mormons are. Okay? Adding extra books and extra writings and stuff to the Bible and to scripture, and changing all these ridiculous traditions that are not mentioned in scripture and stuff like that, which the Bible itself talks about that. That's what the whole thing with the Pharisees and stuff like that. This is a serious issue. And we need to be having this conversation. What God are you rededicating our country to? Is it the devil? You understand what I'm saying? Because I can have one thought of the God that we're rededicating the country to, and they can have a whole nother purpose. In the meantime, they're selling us a false bill of goods. Okay? And the Muslims, they say, oh, well, he was a prophet, but he wasn't God. Well, miss me with that. We don't have any need for fellowship. You understand what I'm saying? Don't tell me that your God is the same God as mine. A demon came to your leader and he told your leader to all this corruption of religion. It's the same thing that happened with the same story as, what's his name? Joseph Smith. Okay. Or is it John Smith? Joseph Smith, the guy from the Mormons, right? Like, what are we doing? Drink water, stay hydrated. So what are we doing? It gets really sick and tiring that we see in our country Christians under attack continuously. Nobody stands up for Christians. Nobody speaks up for Christians. But all of a sudden, when they try to evolve some religion in it, or they try to need some assistance from us, they're like, oh, well, the God loves. Shut up. Shut up. You want to know about our God? Adonai is a man of war. Okay? You don't know our God. You have no clue about our God to sit here and tell us about our scripture and our gospel. How dare they? And they'll try this and they'll pull this flim flam on you right now. That's why you got all these fake Christians and lukewarm Christians out here that promote abortion and promote alphabetism. And it's not about them believing it or whatever the case is. It's about them promoting it. Let's be very clear. There's a difference between believing and promoting. Okay? Believing it is its whole own issue, but the biggest problem is them promoting it, and then them promoting it from the pulpit. You got these crazy people out here talking about they Christians with all of these alphabetism stuff at their church, with all of this secularistic Marxist nonsense at their church. What does that have to do with Jesus Christ? What does that have to do with God the Father sending his only begotten Son, divinity in the flesh, to us, sacrificing himself for us, conquering death, and rising again to overcome death and sin because we just couldn't get right as humanity? What does any of that alphabetism have to do with anything? None of it has anything to do with anything. What does any of that Marxism have to do with any of it? Nothing. Marxism is a anti-Christian heresy, and it's on religion, really. Marxism, socialism, and all of those other things in surrounding that, they don't believe in any gods. They believe that the only God is government. You know, I was having this conversation with somebody earlier, and they were like, oh, well, you know, if there's God, well, why does he allow all of this suffering and stuff in the world? There is no God. Da, 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 da. I said, it's okay that you believe that. I said, because you got more faith that there is no God and all of creation happened from nowhere than I do. You know, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And that reasoning is extremely flawed, right? This shows that people don't know scripture. And it's a daggone sad thing. It's a sad thing. And what we have right now is when people see, okay, well, we have a strong belief in Jesus Christ and his teachings. If you are a true Christian, I'm going to need you to get into the book. I'm going to need you to start reading the Bible, because you got all of these crazy demonic worshiping people, okay, Satanists and Marxists and other non-believers and all other type of people trying to tell you about your religion and what scripture says, and they don't know a lick about nothing. They don't know a lick about nothing. And we need to actually make sure that if we are to have revival in this nation and restore our nation, it must be under the unity of the triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That is all. There is nothing else. All else is a corruption or demonic. That's it. It's very much so that simple. And we have been blessed by God as a nation. We really have. That's why America is exceptional compared to all the other countries in the world. People literally die to get to this country. I have some people I know that are from Venezuela that escaped Venezuela when the stuff was going on over there real bad. And, you know, and you listen to their testimony and they're like, yeah, they kidnapped our daughter when we were on the path up here, and they threw one of our other kids from the train, and this, that, and the third, and all types of crazy stuff. And there was dead bodies in the water, and this, that, and the third, da, 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 da. And still, people brave all of that to try to get to America. That's why America is so great, because we are truly the land of opportunity for all. But if we're going to be the land of opportunity for all, we cannot water down our society or our historic culture. When we do that, then we lose who we are, and our nation ceases to be that promise of better for everyone. And that's what's important to note. Real quick, hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. We are here in your ear having a conversation you need to hear. You're listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on 106.3 WRFZ, Rochester Free Radio. And hit the share button because it don't cost you nothing. Also, to let you know, the station is having a fundraiser. So that's going to be on May 31st. It's going to be noon to 6, and it'll be at Bunsey's Neighborhood Food and Drink at 2235 Empire Boulevard. So that's the fundraiser for the station is going to be on May 31st, and that's going to be noon to 6. It'll be at Bunsey's Neighborhood Food and Drink, and that's at 2235 Empire Boulevard. So come out if you can and support the station. If not, you can always support the station online at patreon.com, Rochester Free Radio, or you can go to rochesterfreeradio.com. If you want to support the show itself, right here on either side, right there of the screen or down below, depending on whether you're vertical or horizontal. Okay. Yes, I know I just did the hands the different ways for the different words, but you know what I mean. Okay. And this is a very serious conversation that we were just having. So thank you if you're just tuning in. We were talking about how a lot of people claim to believe in God, but they actually don't. And this is a very, 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 very important conversation because certainly somebody said, what is The Divide? The Divide is a talk show where we talk about different things that go on in not just our nation, but across the world. We basically analyze many things happening in culture, society, but specifically in politics and how it relates back to our everyday lives. So that's what the show is about. We are a conservative show. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and let's get back into it. Thank you for asking questions. And I will be trying to pop up as many of your comments as we have that come in as they continue to go. So now, as back to the conversation, what God, right? With the rededication of our nation, what God are we rededicating the nation to? I don't know. I have my one thought. My thought is that it should be Jesus Christ. Was that what it was actually rededicated to? I have no clue, because they had a whole bunch of non-believers up there, aside from Christians, talking about this, talking about that. There was this one guy, rabbi, okay, talking about Europe. I don't give a flying monkey's uncle about Europe. No offense. Okay, I don't care about Europe. Okay, and he's like, and Jews this and Jews that and da 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 Jews. What are you even talking about, bro? What do European Jews have to do with America's rededication? You understand what I'm saying? So it's a manipulation and a corruption because these people don't believe in the divinity of Jesus, you know? So he didn't have any real business up there. What God, bro? Not our God. Like, this is serious, you know? And it was really upsetting to me because I'm listening to him talk and I'm like, bro's talking about Europe. Europe ain't got nothing to do with America. Why are you talking about Europe? What is going on here? This is a serious problem. What somebody says the country might split these. What's that say? Might split. These Democrats are becoming unbearable. So let's talk about that for a second, because this goes into the conversation about corruption of what our nation is about, right? A couple moments ago, you might just be coming in, hit the like button and hit the share, drop a comment. If you're just coming in, a couple moments ago, we were talking about how Marxism and socialism don't believe in God at all, right? They believe that the government is God and nothing is higher than the government, according to them. So as the Democrats march closer and closer towards the socialist and communist vein of their party, which they're kicking all types of other people out of their party because of that, you know, like I was talking to a gay leftist the other day, right? Gay, fat, white, bald, glasses, exactly what you would think, right? Exactly what you would think. And I was talking to him because he made a comment And he said, well, Republicans are anti-vaxxers and this, that, and the third, da, 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 da. And I pointed out to him, I said, listen, I said, what you're saying is missing a very important part. Remember the hippies and all of these people and the no government medical stuff was always on the Democrats? Like that was something the Democrats always used to be about for decades, right? That you shouldn't be dealing with the drug companies or dealing with the medical institutions and stuff like that. That was like a core integral part faction of the Democrat Party, you know, and that's like the hippies and the naturalists and the herbalists and the stuff like that, you know, and the crazy white women running barefooted in the woods. You know, like that is a core demographic of the Democrat Party. Like we're not going to sit here and play like it's not. And I was pointing out to him, I said, and you guys have driven all of those people away. You've driven all of those people away. And some of them have come over to the Republican Party, but most of them are independent. And here's the deal. Now, we don't even call those people that, we call them crunchies, right? If you're not familiar with crunchies, it's like somebody that wants to be more natural or homeopathic and stuff like that, you know, sourdough, stuff like that. So anti-chemicals, stuff like that. So that is a whole group of people that the Democrats has completely alienated. And I pointed out, I said, bro, I said, what happened to the hippies that had always been part of the Democrat Party? He said, you know, I never thought about it like that. And I said, yeah, drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. But this is the thing. People aren't thinking about these things. And a lot of people just talk and they don't have a full conversation, right? A lot of people talk because they like to speak or they want to feel like they're being heard, but they don't like to listen. And if we're going to listen, that's how we learn. That's how we get a better understanding of things. So when we see what's going on with our nation, we see the issues, like you look at what happened in Austin yesterday, right? If you guys aren't familiar with what happened to Austin, these three guys were out there terrorizing everybody, okay? I don't know where they from, but they look Muslim to me, okay? They look like they might be, what countries is them? I forget what those countries are called over there. There's like a bunch of them, and they have like a name. Not the Caucasus, but yeah, anyway, they look like they're Muslims from over there. But the problem is that they're like 15, 16, and 17. And even though they shot up a whole bunch of people, shot up the two different fire departments, were running around causing all types of chaos and hecticness, clearly terrorism for over 16 hours, that they can't even put those people's information out there. I mean, they shooting up the streets like everything is okay. You know what I'm saying? Like they causing all types of chaos just to cause chaos. You know, that's a very, 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 very serious thing. That's a very, very, very serious issue. And these people, why? Right? Like, why are you just going around randomly shooting up stuff, shooting up fire departments and all types of stuff because you can, right? That's nothing more than terrorism, you know, but they figure, oh, because they're under 18, they can get away with anything. These people need to have the highest level of capital offense applied to them. And I do believe that they still have the death penalty in Texas. And if that's the case, they need to use it. Full stop. No apologies. Because this type of behavior is godless behavior. That's exactly what it is. It's godless behavior. You're just causing a whole bunch of chaos and commotion to do what? Destabilize, disorient, and create chaos. That's it. That's it. That's nothing but the devil working. Okay. Now, if they come out and they say that these people are Muslim extremists, it's going to be a whole new level of problems, which I'm sure that they are. And that's a whole nother problem in and of itself. Because I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, oh, well, you know, you don't like Muslims or whatever. I said, when did I ever say that? I said, you never heard me say that. I said, and the only real ones that I have any issues with are generally the Saracens. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the Saracens, I've talked about them before. That's the people from the sand countries. Okay. Not Persia, but they all the Persians ain't all that good either. But really the sand countries are the people that are the problems. You know, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, all of those countries down there that are in the sand, because they're in the sand because they've been cursed by God. And that's its whole own conversation that we could go on for about an hour. That's why Northern Africa is sand since they took over. Northern Africa didn't used to be all sand and desert until they took over. And now it's all sand and desert. Make it make sense. What did you do? It's a curse on them against God, by God. That's what the problem is. Drink water, stay hydrated. But they hate everything so much that they want to come over here and they want to destroy our way of life so that they can try to recreate some sort of ridiculous caliphate and extremist Muslim religion. Now you look at the people in Saudi Arabia, the Prince of Saudi Arabia, what's his name? MBS, whatever his name is, I forget. Fully off the top of my head, I don't want to get it wrong, but him, you look at many of the princes from Bahrain, from the UAE, and all of these other countries, Kuwait and stuff like that, and they've warned us. They've warned us about letting these people over. They like, y'all shouldn't let them people over here. They don't like you. Don't let them in. They gonna mess your stuff up. And we don't listen. Why are we letting people in when the people from those other countries, from them Muslim countries, are like, nah, you shouldn't let them in? If the Muslims from the Muslim countries are like, don't let them Muslims in, maybe we need to listen to them. I feel like they would know best on such an issue. And again, this goes back to the listening, because everybody knows better. It's like everybody knows so much so that isn't so. And that's part of the problem. Somebody says something, I'm thinking they saying something. Somebody, bro, I'm not the chairman of they're complaining about our local committee. I'm not the chairman of the committee, and I'm not asking for a donation for the MCRC. If you have a problem with them, go speak to the current chairman, who, again, just got elected. So, I mean, what could he really do in the short time he's been in office? This guy, so this goes, and this is, I'm going to put your comment up there. Who's this? Raymond? Okay, I'm going to put your comment up there because Raymond's comment is a very, very good thing. So Raymond basically is saying that the MCRC is no good and that they've lost all of the seats. Now, in the past 5 years, we've gone through like 6 different chairmen. Okay, so we haven't really had a chance to build up anything with any type of level of cohesion. And he's like, well, they've lost all of the things. And you're mad because what, Raymond? Raymond, I don't think I know you like that. So I'd love to know, drop in the comments what you've been doing to further and benefit Republicanism in our area. Please tell me, because I see all of these people run these different campaigns. It's hard for them to get people to help because everybody's like, oh, it's a lost cause, I'm not even going to bother trying. Or they're like, oh, well, it's New York, there's no way we can win. Or, oh, well, all of this, all of that. What do you think? These candidates that we have are God? Or do you think there's some sort of charismatic demons that are going to automatically get so many people to fall in line with them? Like, what are you expecting? What do you expect, Raymond? Don't go nowhere, Raymond. Raymond running away now. Raymond, drop your next comment. Come on now. Stop playing in my face. Okay. So, but this is again what the problem is, right? Like, people like to get on the internet. They like to complain about stuff and stuff like that, but they won't get out and do anything to take any action. This is why on this show, I always encourage you guys to get out and go take action, right? Every show, I encourage you, go to a city council meeting, go to a town board meeting, go to a school board meeting, start to learn what's going on there, because the only way that you can make a difference is to start to understand what's going on in local politics. The federal government, we're not going to really be able to do very much there, but on the local level, school board, stuff like that, planning board, stuff like that, that's where we can make a difference as individuals, and we can encourage more people to get involved. So Raymond's out here talking all this junk and flapping all that smack, okay? But what is Raymond doing? Absolutely dog water. You understand what I'm saying? So please, Raymond, miss me with that noise. Also, again, I am not the chairman of the county committee, so I can't do nothing about that, bro. I've been trying to get them to do different things in different ways for years, bro. Okay, so whatever frustrations you have, you can't believe the level of frustrations that I have with different things that have gone on over the years. So miss me with that noise. but I'm still out here working and trying to make a difference in our community and encouraging people to get involved, not just locally, but all across the country. So, ridiculous nonsense. Now, let's move forward. Somebody else commented. Most people, once they enter politics, become all about the money. This is a very serious and true story. A lot of people do, but this also happens largely because a lot of the people that end up running for office don't have any solid morals or values to begin with. A lot of them are charlatans, or they don't actually stand on business like we want them to. This is part of what's going on right now in Tennessee with Thomas Massie and the people that are running against him. You've got that, what's the guy's name? I don't remember. Some Navy guy, I think, is running against Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie stands on business. I love me some Thomas Massie because I know what Thomas Massie is going to vote for, what he's going to stand for, and what he's not going to stand for. Now, I agree with Thomas Massie, probably like, I don't know, 96%. But I'm not going to throw him out to the wolves because of that other 4% I don't agree with him on. Homeboy is a constitutionalist. He stands on the Constitution. He's very conservative. I love that guy. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to see him go anywhere. And when he thinks that the president isn't doing right, he says, I'm not voting for that either. And I agree. Not that I agree with everything that he thinks, though, but I agree that he's at least standing on business, and we don't have enough people that are willing to do that. Drink water, stay hydrated. I really hope Thomas Massie wins because we don't really have many people that stand on morals and principles in the House of Representatives or in the Senate right now. Not at all. So it's very important that we keep people like that. Now Trump is going after Lauren Boebert, I guess, because she's out there trying to help out Massie and make sure he wins. But this is because we need people that are going to stand on the Constitution. Even if they're your best friend, bro, nobody's ever going to agree with you 100% of the time. But at least if you know that they stand where they stand and why they stand where they stand, that you can work with them. And this is the problem with what's going on right now with the administration. Like, I feel Trump getting rid of Cassidy, right? Like, Cassidy did he vote to impeach him too? He voted to impeach him. He voted with the January 6th stuff too. That guy I could see, right? But Thomas Massie isn't like that, and this is the problem. He doesn't take any AIPAC donations. He doesn't take dark money and stuff like that. And they try to make him look all insidious and whatever they want. Homeboy is a solid person, he's a solid dude. There aren't very many of them. I could probably start to list some of them, and I'm not even fully on board with all of them all the way. Tim Burchett, Chip Roy, Senator Kennedy, who else? Marsha Blackburn, and even some of them I have some issues with every now and then on different legislations. There's a few more out there, but it's the problem is that what happens is a lot of it ends up being about self-preservation. A lot of it ends up being about self-preservation or serving their masters or all of this or all of that. And then nothing ever ends up getting done that is actually good for the people. It's just whatever the people at the top want. And we can't be doing that. We really can't. So hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost nothing. You are listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams, having the conversations in your ear that you need to hear. Let's jump back into it. So, as we have this important conversation, we have to understand that the people that are supposed to be in the House and in the state and in the Senate are supposed to represent us. And on skill, sadly, to tell the truth, it doesn't look that way. People get mad at the president all the time, and they're like, oh, the president this, the president that. I try to impart on them that it's largely not the president that's the problem. It's Congress that's the problem. I was listening to, I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Scott Pressler, but I know it wasn't. But whoever it was talking about how, oh, we got to replace all of these Republicans that aren't doing right and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, when? Right? Because what? Senate's every 6 years, House of Representatives every 2. When are we going to replace these people? Which ones are we replacing? We got to be very cognitive when we have this conversation. Do we end up like with an issue like the Tea Party? Excuse me, let me blow my nose. Do we end up with an issue like the Tea Party where we have a couple of people trying to stand on principles and values and then that fizzles out? Like, where do we go from here? These are the conversations that we have to have. Where do we go from here? As a country, what are we looking to? As conservatives and Republicans, what are we looking to? You know? And I think that that is a large portion of what we have going on as far as problems go. People don't want to stand on business. And these people that don't stand on business, that are real flippy floppy or wishy-washy or all about the money, like somebody else had said earlier, those are the people that get all the funding. Those are the people who get all the glitz and glam on the television. Those are the people who get the news coverage. You know, I give an example of a Democrat that happened to, where they didn't give him no shine or nothing. The last election cycle for president, there was this guy, and I don't remember his name fully, and that just shows you how full they shut him down. His name was like Dean or something like that, Dean something or something. Anyway, homeboy seemed decent. He seemed like a real decent, not terrible piece of garbage human being, right? Like he seemed like a Democrat that maybe you could have a pint with or actually maybe vote for. You know, they wouldn't give him any shine. They wouldn't give him any money. They wouldn't let it cover that he was running on the Democrat platform, trying to primary Biden. Like they wouldn't give him anything at all. Why? Because he was too decent. He was too decent, and they don't want that in our country. They don't want those type of people really representing us. And that's me saying a lot because, I'm not a big fan of the Democrat Party at all. So me saying that about him that's a real serious statement, but that's what's happened to the Democrat Party. A lot of the Democrats that are kind of sound of mind or whatever have either lost their rabid minds and are now very leftist or so much inside of their whole party mindset that no matter what their party does, their party can do no wrong. I saw somebody put up a post today that was from the New Yorker, maybe it was the New York Times, and the New York Times was like, Trump's DOJ sets up a way to push millions of dollars to his allies. I said, the DOJ? That doesn't sound right. The DOJ doesn't do that type of stuff. So what can it be? Clearly it's something else. I couldn't read the article because it's a paywall and no way in heaven I'm paying for the New York Times. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't read the whole article, but the thing was stupid, right? Like the premise was stupid. And this was shared by somebody who was a prominent Democrat in my area, who their own party didn't like them too much because they thought that they were a little too conservative. You understand what I'm saying? So, and now they're all, oh, my party. But they don't even like you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? People, man, wake up. So they were, I don't even know how to explain it. Anyway, but when they had the whole issue with the aid, what do you call it? The USA aid, and they were funneling all the money to the Democrat politicians and nonprofits and stuff. They didn't have anything to say on that. They didn't have anything to say about all of the issues with Act Blue and how they've been funneling all this money, how it's been discovered that they funneled all this money to all these people, that all of this dark money is coming in. They didn't have nothing to say about that, but they got something to say about this. And this goes back to Thomas Massey. At least keep it consistent, right? At least he's consistent. But here we have a great example of somebody not being consistent. Make it make sense. Drink water, stay hydrated. Let's see, we got a couple comments in here. Sorry, the extra long comments, you guys, it's hard to pop those up on the screen. So forgive me if those don't get popped up. Oh, anyway. So as we have this conversation, hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Give me a thumbs up, drop an American flag or a, hey, I'm watching, I'm tuned in. All right. Now let's go on to some other stuff. I do want to get back to the Austin shooter, people, because this is a real big issue that we have right now. I see you, Kathy. I see you. I want to get back to the Oster shooting issue. There were 3 of these people. One was 15, one was 14, and one was 17. They shot up a number of different establishments. They shot up 2 different fire departments and all of this. Why? Because they knew that they could. And they won't even give the names out of the 14-year-old and the 15-year-old because they're too young. Their mugshots need to be plastered all across the television. What do you mean you're committing terrorist acts and we can't know who you are or what they look like? What do you mean? You can't tell us their names and stuff like that because they're too young? If you old enough to shoot somebody, you old enough to get shot back and get your mug plastered on the television. Make it make sense to me. Like, and this is the problem, right? Like, it's different if somebody maybe didn't do something, you know what I'm saying? But it's 100% they did it, right? Now, I'm not being judge and jury, but I mean, if you are caught in the act of doing what you're doing and admit that you were doing what you're doing when you were caught and said that you had the full intention of doing what you were doing, I mean, heavens to Betsy, you know, like for real. It's really, really, really a serious problem. It's really a problem because we have that issue here, right? Like, where all of these criminals, these youth criminals, they don't go to jail, they don't tell you who they are, and they get out within an hour, same day. Police haven't even processed the paperwork, and they're back out on the street already. Why? Because of these ridiculous laws in New York State. They call them the raise the age laws, which make it so that anybody under the age of 18 essentially is charged as a juvenile, and they can't go to any real serious court. Everything that they do has to go through family court, and essentially you can't arrest them for anything or do anything to them. Then on top of that, you can't even, because of the way that the city ordinances are, you can't even pepper spray or taser them. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And then if you look on paper who's committing the crime, it's mostly these youth criminal terrorists. You know what I'm saying? Now, these people I call them criminal terrorists, and I distinguish that from domestic terrorists like the ones in Austin, Texas, we were just talking about, but criminal terrorists because they're terrorizing the community with criminal acts. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think that it's particularly to destabilize our government or anything like that or cause massive amounts of problem, but it's a complete neglect and concern for the well-being of others in society. And people are scared and people are terrified and people are losing their jobs and some are even losing their lives because of these behaviors and these engagements here because of these youth criminal terrorists. And they won't put them in jail and they won't put them on blast. Maybe we need to bring caning to New York State, right? Like for anybody under 18 for lower level offenses, we cane them. 10 lashes, something like that. I bet you all this nonsense will stop real quick. Okay, real quick. Corporal punishment is nothing to be like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you talking junk and somebody busts you in your stuff, okay, you're less likely to talk junk. Okay, like this is what's going on here. Like, you know, like I'm not a big beat your child type of people, but some of y'all need to beat your children. You know, like what is going on here? Like they just literally out here acting like they ain't got no home training, or maybe this is the training that they actually got from the home. And that shows you why we need comprehensive households and we need real parenting. But we got so many people out here with parentless behavior that it's ridiculous. You know, again, no discipline in the house, especially in New York State, because you can't discipline anybody because the government runs everything. Big daddy government, right? Ridiculous nonsense. Drink water, stay hydrated. But we have these problems and these issues that we can't even talk about when it comes to the family life and the need for comprehensive families like we were talking about. I'll give you an example, right? I was doing a panel the other day, and I was talking about, it was on Black national identity, right? For Malcolm X Day. So, and I was talking about how everybody's out here talking about, oh, we need to support these foreigners. We need to support these foreigners. I'm like, these foreigners ain't never done nothing for us. These illegal aliens ain't never done nothing for us. We don't want them here. They're in our neighborhoods. They're tearing up our stuff. They're taking all the properties and jobs and resources and everything away from our people, and you want me to support them? Never that. Who's retarded? Not me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're not doing. That's what we're not doing. I'm not supporting no illegal aliens, no foreigners, no nothing like that. They don't support us. Why would I support them? Who is stupid? You know, and this is what the whole conversation boils down to. As we were having that conversation, I was pointing out, you know, these people, especially these pro-Palestine people, okay, who aren't Muslim, who are white as the fresh driven snow, okay, who don't know about anything about Palestine's history or present, okay, are out here acting a raw riot and a fool, talking about, oh, this, oh, that, which they don't have a clue about, okay? And on top of that, they're just anti-American and anti-Christian. It's got nothing to do with supporting Palestine. What does that even mean? What does that even look like, right? And you ask them tangibly, what is it that they're talking about? They don't have a clue. They don't have a clue because they ain't got nothing to tell you. And this is a serious problem. So you want me to have fellowship with these domestic terrorists? Yeah, right. That's what we're not doing. I'm not about to play them games. You understand what I'm saying? They don't care about us, they don't like us, and they hate our country. I'll pass. Now, to the illegal aliens, you bring all of these people over here and you use them to confiscate the resources that are meant for the people that are in the middle class and in poverty. Okay, that's a problem. So we, as those who are in the middle class and those in poverty, we have two sets of foreigners squeezing us out of our own country and our own economy. We got the illegal aliens on the bottom, okay? And the illegal aliens are out there because they don't have many skills. They don't know, a lot of them don't even know the language. So they're out there competing with everybody else for the basic entry level jobs at a warehouse facility, at Amazon, at McDonald's, you know, at Walmart. They're competing for the jobs that anybody can get at any given time, right? That is a problem. That is unnecessary competition that is being forced against Americans. That's a problem. That's a very, very serious problem. And people are like, oh, well, that's discrimination. That's just, send them back. Send every single one of them back. Every single one. No line, no waiting, no exceptions. Take a C-13 Hercules or whatever the massive transport plane is that we have now. Get them all parachutes, dump them out the back. Real quick, full fact. Okay? We make good parachutes. Dump them out the back. Why? Because why are we forcing our own people to compete with foreigners for basic entry-level jobs? Who's stupid? Must be the American public, because they're the ones letting this happen. Why do you think that they're letting this happen to the American public, but they're in power? Because they don't feel that it affects them or impacts them. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. You know? They don't care about us at all. And this is the issue. This goes back to who's in Congress, who's in the different levels of government on the local level, who's in your state assembly, who's in your state legislature, who's in your state senate. This is why we got to get the right people in all of these positions, because ain't nobody looking out for us. Then you got all of these crazy people saying, oh, yeah, the government will do it. Let the government do more. I don't want the government to do more. Government can't do anything for itself anyway. The government can barely govern. You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't had a full comprehensive budget since like 1994. All right? 1994. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a problem. That's a whole lifetime. Like, we haven't had a full budget for the United States of government. The largest, most powerful country in the world hasn't had a full budget since 1994. Make it make sense. Every year, it's kick the can, kick the can, kick the can, kick the can. You understand? Oh, extension this. Oh, budgetary rider that. Oh, this, oh, that, da 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 da. Shut down here, shut down there, shut down, shut down, shut down. It's ridiculous. It's vile. It's an act of aggression against the American people. And if these are supposed to be our representatives acting in this manner, they need to be relieved of duty. Full stop. They don't have any business being our elected representatives for our country, not passing a comprehensive budget every year. Bogus. They don't have any business making it so it's easy for all these illegal aliens to stay here or try to give them asylum or try to give them resources or none of that. Let them go back to their country, okay? Oh, you don't want them to go back to their country? Cool. Let's annex their country. Full facts and full stop. If they're sending all their people here, we're coming to take your country. We're coming to take your land, and it's going to be ours, and we're going to send your people back to that part of the country because now we've taken it over. How you like them apples? Okay? How you like that? Oh, but they don't want that. Okay, then don't let them be over here. I was just watching Trump talking to, was it China? I don't think it was China. I think it was some other country. It might have been somewhere in Africa. Don't quote me on this. Go look it up, okay? But anyway, some country, they was like, oh yeah, so Trump just worked out a thing where we're going to send back 300 of their people a year annually or whatever. I said, 300 a year? I said, what are we doing with 300 a year? Send them all back tomorrow. Put them on a plane, send them all back, drop them off tomorrow. What do you mean? Oh, they can't absorb that many people? That's their people. How you think we're going to absorb that many people that aren't even from this country? Who's stupid? These countries out here playing us for a fool. Then we got the Democrats in office talking about, oh, hug them, kiss them, love them. You don't care about the poor and those in poverty when I got all these homeless people out on my street, okay, that can't even find housing, okay, that are trying to find jobs, that can't even find jobs, that are fully capable. But we got all these people here that don't even speak the language. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get me started. And it comes to be a bigger issue. It comes to be a bigger issue when we see how many people are now on the Republican side pushing for the concept of, what do you call it? No, that's not what it's called. When they're pushing for the concept of mass amnesty, you know, it's not good. Send them all back, every last one of them. You know, it's really a problem, and I don't understand what's going on. Somebody said, oh, it's money, fear, status, and blackmail, etc. That's exactly what's going on here. That's exactly what we're witnessing. They're selling us out for, as James Brown described it, chicken change. When I first got involved with politics to learn more about politics and started going to the city council meetings and stuff like that, you know, like I knew the government was selling us out on the local level. I knew they didn't really care for the people on the local level like that. So I started going to the meetings, man. And I figured, you know, there'd be like corruption like you hear about on the television and stuff like that. And there was, but there wasn't like the money that you thought that it was. We are out here getting sold out by our elected officials on the local and state levels for $100, a couple $1,000 for no money. What James Brown called chicken change. They're selling us out for chicken change. Okay? We got to get back. Need some payback. Need some get back. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is what's happening. And this is why I always encourage you guys, get involved locally. Start going to city council meetings, town council meetings, town board meetings, school board meetings, planning board, zoning board, whatever you got, wherever you are, whatever fits your interest, just pick one. Don't overwhelm yourself, just pick one. Start going, start listening, start researching what they've been doing. You know, this is stuff that we need to know about. So I went to city council. This was when they were filling in the inner loop a couple of years ago. And they had this one block, this one area, and I wanted to speak about it or whatever the case was. But everything was going there so fast that I couldn't even figure out what was going on. They were like, this, to this, to this, to this. I thought I was at one of those auctions where they're like 10, 40, 40, 40, 100, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Like that. That's what I felt at city council. So they were just authorizing and auctioning like off all of the, giving off all these properties and stuff that they were going to build on and stuff like that. It was crazy. So they sold this one parcel for $1, right? And I'm like, shoot, I had $1. And they asked the questions of the people. They said, okay, well, what are you going to build there? They're like, some extended stay hotel. They said, okay, how much it's going to cost? We don't know. They said, okay, what's it going to look like? We don't know. They said, okay, well, what hotel franchise is going to move in there when you're done? Oh, we don't know. Okay, authorized selling it for $1. I said, you should have sold it for $1. I said, I had $1. I'd have given it to you in cash. You know, like this is crazy. So they're selling us out for chicken change, for less than nothing on the local level. So to see them selling us out on the federal level, okay, is not unforeseen, you know? So this is why I tell you focus local so that you can get stuff done. Now to the second tier of what I'm talking about, we've got the people here coming here on visas, right? That whole thing needs to be stopped too, okay? We got them coming here on visas, all of these hundreds of thousands of people a year. Trump wanted to authorize 500,000 Chinese to come over here. And craziness. Now he's talking about backpedaling a little bit, like, oh, we're canceling some of the visas because China isn't playing nice with us or whatever the case is. We don't want none of them here, no way. All of them got to spy for China anyway. That is a requirement of China. Like, stop playing in our face. But it's not just the Chinese, it's other Asians too. Okay, it's the Indians, right? The red dot, not the feather. Okay, and we got them. They're all coming over here. I woke up one morning a couple years ago and the Indians were in all parts of the government. I was like, how in the heavens did this happen? Everybody's Indian. Everybody. You know, like, go look into that. Like how everybody's Indian in like every part of government right now. That's wild. But it's ridiculous. So ridiculous. It makes me want to spit. And as we talk about this, we think we're bringing in all of these. So there was a expose that they did. I want to say it was not 60 Minutes, whatever the other one is. It's like 60 Minutes. But they did like an expose on the visas, right? Like, so the visas, the H-1B visas that are supposed to be highly skilled. And they got people that are coming over here on these highly skilled visas working at Taco Bell, bro. Working at Taco Bell, competing with you for this job at Taco Bell. You know what I'm saying? Competing with the recent high school graduates for this job at Taco Bell. Like, this stuff is really very, very serious. And people don't even see what's going on. So now you've got the ones on the bottom, the illegal aliens on the bottom, below the people in poverty and those in the middle class. Then on the top of that, you got the legal people that are here on visas. And what are they doing? They're squeezing. They're squeezing us from the top and from the bottom. And in the meantime, we're getting pushed out of our own economy. We're getting pushed out of our own economy. We're getting pushed out of our own housing markets because these people need places to live and they need jobs to work. But we're taking them in by the millions. Heavens to Betsy. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what we're not doing. All right, you guys, hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. And you are tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here in your ear having the conversations that you need to hear on WRFZ 106.3 FM. We are here from 2:30 to 4 p.m. every Monday. Tell your friends, tell your family, and the people that you don't like up the street to tune in. All right, you guys, hit them like buttons and them share buttons. I see a lot more people watching and I see the likes. So definitely do that real quick. And drop a comment if you want to be part of the conversation. So with all of the squeeze on the American people, let's talk about Iran right now and China, since Trump just went over to China, right? Trump goes over to China and Marco Rubio is like, all of the Marco Rubio memes just write themselves. So Marco Rubio is that dude right now. He's like top flight right now. It's funny. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, but Marco Rubio was DJing the other day. So yeah, now that's another job that he has. So that's funny. But no, Marco Rubio is banned from China. So he was banned from China when he was a senator. and they had him sanctioned. So he couldn't come to China or anything else. So what China did to not look bad was they started to change the characters that they used to represent Marco Rubio's name. So that way they could save face. You know, that's wild. That's straight out of 1984. The book 1984, if you haven't read it, read it before they try to rewrite it. Like they just redid that movie. What was it? The what's the farm movie? Oh my goodness! If you guys remember the what was it? Animal Farm? I feel like it's Animal Farm is the name of the book. The other Orson Welles book. We'll drop it in the comments. But yeah, they just turned that into some leftist propaganda when really the Animal Farm was all against communism and stuff like that. So that's interesting. But yeah, read 1984 before they try to rewrite that too. So what we're seeing happen and unfold right before our eyes in China with Marco Rubio is the rewriting of China's version of history so that they can save face. Now, I'm so happy that Trump went over there and was like, listen, stop being a dick, you know? So that's what he was over there talking about. Because essentially China thinks that they run everything and they can do whatever they want. And that's why we've gone and we've taken over Venezuela. We need to incorporate Venezuela into the US. You already know how I feel about that. We got too many Venezuelans here. Okay. So we need to annex Venezuela. But President Trump said that we're in control of Venezuela anyway. So I'll take it. I'll take the win. We need to be in control of Cuba now, too. It's funny because, you know, the FBI, the director of the FBI was not the FBI, director of the CIA was in Cuba just the other day, which I'm like, the director of the FBI, I mean, of the CIA is in Cuba. That's wild. That's something you'd never think you would hear. So we'll see what happens there. And apparently we're also looking to charge Raul Castro, who's the brother of Fidel Castro. And I don't know. I don't know about all that. I think he's like 96 or something like that. I don't know how old he is. He's old as dust, though. He's about to croak sometime soon anyway. So we'll see. Hopefully we can take back Cuba and reincorporate Cuba into the U.S. If you guys aren't aware, Cuba used to be part of the U.S. and it needs to come home. Come home, Cuba. Come home. So we need to take over Cuba. That's a firm stance that I have and I've always had. It's got nothing to do with this presidency. Cuba and the Philippines. But we need to apologize to the Philippines because we did them wrong when we had them. We didn't treat them quite right. We're sorry, Philippines. Come home. Okay? So anyway, now when we look at what's happening in China with Trump going over to China and saying, listen, you guys ain't doing right. So we kind of stuck it to you with this oil stuff. So now you're going to act right, you're going to play fair, or what's good? And China's like, oh, well, we're going to take over Taiwan. And the U.S. is like, you're always talking about that. Let's not do that because none of us want to be in that position where we have to be reactive. Because if you try to take Taiwan with force, that means it's going to be bad things and bad news. So if you guys aren't aware, China has been working to infiltrate. And I shouldn't say China, right? Because Taiwan is China different. One is the CCP, which is mainland China, and Taiwanese China is the what do you call them? The nationalist Chinese. But because the war is so old and so far away, we're talking, I want to say, when was Mao Zedong? It's like right around the same time Mr. Mustachio was. Okay. So around the same time Hitler was Mao Zedong. And that's how they ended up on the island of Taiwan. The U.S. was supposed to help them relaunch a campaign to take back mainland China, but we never did, and they never did. So now China CCP is trying to take over them. So what they've been doing is they've been paying off people in their government and stuff like that, trying to get different seats and buy different seats and put their different people in there. And it's been very successful. So they might have a bloodless reintegration over there, which would be terrible. But also they've done the same thing in Korea, which I don't know why nobody's talking about Korea, which is a big deal. This is South Korea. They essentially took over the South Korean government. China basically runs South Korea right now. That's a whole nother conversation for another episode. I'd like to touch on what happened in the Philippines. Speaking of the Philippines, a couple days ago, they had one of their senators there who's on the Senate right now. I guess they were trying to get him for the Hague, the International War Crimes Court or whatever. And he was holed up there so that they couldn't get him. And that was interesting. I don't know if they ever got him or whatever the case is, but it was like a 72-hour standoff and it was still going. And that was a couple days ago, so I'm not sure. I haven't followed back up on that yet. But they tried to get him. They got what's his name? Rodrigo Duterte, who was the president of the Philippines. I love him. He is awesome. When he was the president, I was like, can he be the president of the U.S. too? Because he got up there, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is roughly what he said. I know I'm missing a couple of things, though. He said, if you go and you sell drugs to our children, I kill you. He said, if you go and you hurt or molest our children, I kill you. I'm like, man, yes, I support all of that. Get rid of the criminals and the pedophiles and the drug dealers. Get rid of all of them. They're destroying society. Absolutely. Love that guy. And then you look at him, but you look at Bukele in not Nicaragua, what is he? El Salvador. Okay. And they're not at him in El Salvador. Make it make sense. Why are they at Duterte but not at Bukele? Because Bukele's got more power. They're going to try to get him when he gets out of power. Look, Duterte didn't do nothing that Rodrigo didn't do nothing that Bukele didn't do. He was putting people in jail, breaking up the gangs, killing off people. But they like to use the Philippines as their own sovereign, nasty ground to do stuff to little girls and stuff like that, because they used to not have age of consent that was that high. I think they just increased it because before it was like 11 or 12, and they just increased it like last year. Wild stuff. Because foreigners would come there and they do wild things. And I guess, the Europeans didn't like that very much. So they're like, you can't clean up the Philippines. We want it dirty like it is because it lets us do our dirty things there and it's not our home. So we can keep it like that. But Rodrigo wanted to fix his home. And I'm not mad at him. Everything that he did, he was in the right order. Okay. People can hate him if they want to. Okay. Talking about they committed war crimes. Man, shut up. Shut up. Okay. When they had them terrorists over there, I didn't see the UN or any of Europe trying to help them with those Muslim terrorists that they had to deal with over there. You know what I'm saying? I bet you they gave the Muslim terrorists all the weapons and stuff too, because I'm trying to figure out how them weapons got into the Philippines like that. Anyway, so we got to have a conversation on that, but they don't want to, because they want to warp your mind and make you think what they want you to think, because hey, if they craft the narrative, it must be so. And as we talk about crafted narratives, we need to talk about why it's important to get involved locally, right? You have to get involved locally because all of these narratives and all these pretty things that they concoct are really a manipulation of what's going on. And they're trying to tell you what they want you to know. It's like if somebody tells you that they did something wrong, they're probably not going to tell you the whole thing that they did wrong, right? Because they want it to be somewhat not terrible looking. But this is why we have to get involved. I encourage you to get involved locally, okay? But don't be like Raymond earlier and just be dictard and be mad and not be somebody that's out there getting active. Like, don't be mad at others when you're not doing anything. You're just sitting on your couch being mad. What are you doing? We got to take action. We got to stand up. We got to get involved. And that's what we need to do. And because if it's up to us, it's going to end up happening. But if we wait on somebody else to do it, nothing's going to happen. So we must stand and occupy. Now, that's from the Bible, okay? And it's active. Those are action words. We need to stand and occupy. And in our nation right now, we need to stand up. We need to occupy for Christ, for righteousness, and to restore our nation. Because we're never going to get renewal and restoration in our nation if we keep allowing all of this insanity to go on, all of this stuff that's against the family, that's against God. All of this Marxist and all these other isms, Marxism, what do you call it? Feminism, all of the isms. If it ends with ism, it's probably against God. Okay, and God's divine plan and the way that he set out nature. Climatism, all of it. All of it. These people are literally trying to usurp God, and now they're trying to change nature because they know so much better than God in the universe. Because why should God in the universe control actual nature? Let man control nature, because man can stop nature from doing whatever nature is. No, it can't. No, it can't. And whenever they do, they mess something up. It's like the weather control stuff. Why you think it's 9 million degrees right now? Nobody can tell me that this hasn't got something to do with some nonsense that they up to. Okay? Nobody can tell me that it's got nothing to do with that. Because if you look at the other different weird weather patterns that are going on right now, it's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on around the world, all at this one time, all of the sudden. Now they're talking about giant hail tomorrow, not here, but in, I want to say they said Texas and in the Southwest. It's crazy. It's crazy. All types of crazy stuff is going on. But again, this is because nobody wants to rely on God. We should be relying on God. Let nature do what nature does. What we should be doing is protecting nature from them doing all types of deforestation and stuff like that for the purpose of putting down solar panels. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But it's too much like right. Now, as we come up on the 250th anniversary of the United States of America and our founding, I want you guys, if you don't have one, I encourage you to go get a constitution. Get a pocket constitution. There are lots of different groups that have them, okay? But read through your Constitution, read through your Bill of Rights, read through the Declaration of Independence, so you can know and understand better what our nation is about, what our founding principles are about. And I encourage you to go read the Federalist Papers and to read Thomas Paine. He's got a bunch of good pamphlets and stuff that he's put out. Okay. These are people that were around during the founding of our nation, very integral to the founding of our nation. Okay. Thomas Paine wrote Common Sense. Go read that. This is some stuff that we really need to get back to basics in America, because we've gone so far away from everything that has made our country great, from the original origins and original thoughts, that they're trying to paint everything completely different now, paint over our past and paint this glorious revolution, right? Later for all of these communists. I can't deal. We must stand up now. We must rebuild our nation with Christ at its center. Okay? Christ is king. So when they tell you that there's no king and it's to do with Trump, it's not, because they got up and all of them were celebrating the literal King of England coming over here. You make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense. I want to make sure that as we move forward with our nation, that we can focus on ourselves, right? I know there's a lot of issues with people and Trump right now. They think that Trump's not focused on America first or whatever the case is. I'm past America first. I'm America only. If it doesn't help America, I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want nobody doing it. I don't want nothing to do with it. You understand what I'm saying? That's where I stand. So when people say, oh, Trump isn't doing America first stuff, is he? What can he do? What is the stuff that you want him to do? Because Congress is probably the one that's really responsible. We don't hold Congress accountable. The president is largely just a distraction. He doesn't have a lot of power. The power lies with Congress, and that's the way the Constitution was written intentionally. And Congress has stolen more power from the presidency over the years through rewriting the Constitution and making it addendums and add-ons and stuff like that. But we have to understand that to restore our nation, we must shrink the government. That's what I got for you guys today. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow. And we'll be back next week, 2:30 to 4 p.m. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3. We'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well. All right, you guys. I'm going to catch you guys later. Stay tuned. Make sure that you are following or you are subscribed because we got some more stuff, a lot of stuff we've got coming out this week. Other programs and other shows and other clips are coming out this week, and you're definitely going to want to stay tuned. Catch y'all later. I'm out.